Hey everybody, Corey here coming at you with another knife review video. This time it is of the Kershaw Cryo, also known as the Kershaw 1555TI. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter review because I don't have a lot to say. And in this case, it's actually good because it's pretty straightforward. So let's start out with some size comparisons. Here it is next to the ZT0452, which is a conventionally large knife. Here it is next to the Ontario Rat number 2, which is a conventionally small knife. So what you can actually see, this is pretty unusual for this channel, the Kershaw Cryo is coming in smaller than the Ontario Rat number 2. So I will take the ZT out of here because I don't think it's a relevant comparison. And also, unlike other videos where we start getting into this this size range, I'm not going to cop out and say, well, it's kind of like a Rat 2. It's basically the Rat 2, because it's actually not. And I do want to talk about that just a little bit. But here's what we're looking at. 8CR13 MOV is the blade steel. The handle, now here's something that ticks me off just a little bit. Kershaw is owned by the same company that manufactures ZT. And when ZT, you can't see it here because this is just 0452CF, which stands for carbon fiber. However, when ZT has a full titanium knife, sometimes they will call it something like 0452TI, which you look at this and you say, 1555TI, that's interesting. Is this titanium? No, it is stainless steel. And for some reason that grinds my gears a little bit because I feel like even experienced knife goers like myself would look at that and say, oh, TI, that's interesting. They put titanium on it. Not the case. So here we are. 8CR13 MOV, we're also moving into an area where this is, it's a budget blade steel. It really is. I'm not going to lie. It took me all of maybe 10 minutes to get this razor sharp, and it was pretty dull when I got to it. So, it'll lose its edge relatively quickly, but it will also sharpen up relatively quickly. So, depending on your lifestyle, who knows? Maybe that's what you're looking for. In terms of ergo, so another thing I want to say while we're here. See how it says Hinderer design? Rick Hinderer makes some pretty badass knives. And the last I checked, they run about $400 to $500 depending on which one you get. They're mean. I've always wanted one. And, the closest you're ever going to get to one without actually getting one is to buy a collaboration knife, which Kershaw and ZT actually have quite a few of. So if you were ever interested in a Hinderer design, this is one, right? They have the rights to kind of run with what he did. So I like that. And this has actually confirmed for me that I do want a Hinderer one day. This is everything about it. The ergos are just nice. And somehow, even though this is shorter than the Rat 2, the curvature of the handles and this nice little landing pad right here gives my pinky a place to sit. And I never feel like I'm going to lose grip with this knife. I never feel like I'm doing that thing where my pinky doesn't know where it wants to go, what it wants to do. Very satisfied with this knife. One thing, this is a speed safe assist knife. So Kershaw likes to put speed safe assist on their knives, which essentially means it is an assisted opening knife. There's a spring in here. I don't necessarily have anything against that. I think the purist in me just wants to avoid springs, but honestly, I don't hate it. It's really not a problem for me. And clearly this is a frame lock, by the way. Pocket clip, it's the usual Kershaw ZT deep carry, except not really, because they have these screws that stick up so high, so your pants only actually get to about here, the end of my fingertip. Look, it's not the worst thing in the world. I've never been really crazy about, pocket clips. It's really hard for me to say that a pocket clip is just awful. I don't have problems with this one. In terms of the good, the ergos are really nice on this thing. Like I said, I really feel like I've got a good grip on this thing. The jimping is just perfectly placed. The shape of the handle perfectly fits my hand. It really, really, really feels like I've got a good grip on this. I also do like the blade shape. You've got just enough flat to to satisfy the people who want, a healthy amount of flat, but the belly is also substantial when it does finally start to curve up closer towards the tip. I don't know, I just like it. It's a really good overall utilitarian knife. This has really been a pleasure to use when it comes to kind of, I always say breaking down cardboard, because let's be honest, most people, the craziest thing they're going to do with their knives is like tear up some Amazon boxes. But in that regard, carrying it is nice, using it is nice. I mean, that's really all there is to it. Fit and finish, it's fine. It's kind of a budgety Kershaw knife. It's fine. The screws aren't flush. They don't necessarily have to be. But, there's nothing egregious here. I really just generally like everything that I see. There is one thing that I'm not necessarily a fan of, and for some reason, this seems to be a Kershaw thing, and I can't really wrap my head around it. The knife is thin. It's very thin. And the Kershaw Leak is like this, and the Shallot, and a few other ones. I just wish it was a little bit thicker. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, there are pros and cons when it comes to, a knife being thick or a knife being thin. I think if it was thicker, it would definitely fill out my hand more, and it would be even more comfortable. At that same time, though, this really carries very well. It's not excessively heavy, and it's very thin, so it really does just kind of disappear into your pocket because of how thin it is. So, depending on what you're looking for. Again, though, I already said the ergos were good, so it's not like, the fact that it's not as thick as it could be is really, like, tearing up my heart. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. This is one, this has something going for it that a lot of knives don't necessarily have going for them in this price range. And what that is that it is a Rick Hinderer design. Or, whoever may have designed the knife, right? I think it's really cool that Kershaw gives you the option to essentially understand what it feels like to handle a $450 knife in one that is substantially less expensive. I'll put the details in the description. I'll put a link to where I can find one of these. I'm pretty sure these don't run more than $50, and honestly, they might be even less than that. Don't quote me. For some reason, I can't remember the price on this one right now, but the moral of the story is it's not going to break your bank, and it's a damn good knife. So, Kershaw, a lot of people love Kershaw, especially if you're going for just a great utilitarian knife. Is this one made in the USA? In China. Okay, so this one was made in China. It is what it is. However you feel about that, that's a separate conversation. But overall, good knife, very satisfied. Kershaw isn't always my thing because I like a little bit more jazz in a knife. But honestly, this is fine. This reminds me of my Link in the sense that when I pick it up, I like it. I haven't touched a Kershaw really that made me hate it. So if that says anything, I do endorse this knife, and I love that it's a Hinderer design. So I'll stop ranting about the Hinderer. Hope you guys got something out of this. Hope you found it useful. Hope you dig the knife, and go check it out if you haven't checked it out. ZT, by the way, ZT also makes even higher end versions of Hinderer designed knives. But those are getting close to $300. So in my opinion, if you were interested in one of those, you kind of might as well just bite the bullet and go get a Hinderer. But that's a different discussion too. Anyhow, yes. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time.